Hello and welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andrej.
And I'm Patrick.
And thanks so much for tuning in. We have a brand new series for you today.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the Canadian Nationals 2016.
That's right. From September 9th, September 10th in beautiful suburban Toronto, a whole lot of us played a whole lot of Netrunner.
Yeah, so the Montreal story is that there was 11 of us, I believe.
Right.
There was 2 cars, and we drove down to have a wonderful weekend here at the Holiday Inn Yorkdale.
We had a great time.
Yeah, it was a
great
lot
time.
of fun. A really well-run event. Firstly, I want to give a big shout-out to Victor,
Right.
Who ran this event, and then all his support from the Torsaw Grid, as they are known.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliantly run. And it was a lot of Netrunner. There was, I think we started with 65 players on
Yeah,
day
around
one.
there.
Yeah.
6 rounds of Swiss?
I think it was 6 rounds of Swiss. There wasn't a lot of IDing, not a lot of intentional draws.
Right.
Which was cool. The
Yeah.
cut was incredibly competitive. And after that, we were down to 8 players that were going to come back on this day that you're watching right now, which is the top 8, to fight for the title of national champion.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So normally this is the part where we would cut to interviews of the top 8 players.
Oh, what did you do?
I goofed a bit. I actually had a really good day at the Netrunner on the Saturday, so I landed in perfectly 8th.
Oh.
Just on strength
Oh.
of schedule,
right.
I've snuck in, so I'm actually going to appear on camera later in the series. That means that I wasn't allowed to go around and ask people.
That would have been bad.
Yeah,
I feel like.
can't do deck talk, so that's a bit disappointing. But that is okay because we know a lot of these players really well.
Right.
Let's start on the left. We have Steven Jecmen. Steven actually is one of the people that came from another country. He's
Yeah.
hailing all the way from Michigan.
Right. He came up with a few of his friends.
Yeah.
And they're all playing variations of the same sentry-heavy HB deck.
Yeah, so I first round actually I played against Steven, and I found out his deck had a lot of Sherlocks.
Yeah, Lost Sherlock 2.0s.
2.0, which is it was a brutally powerful ice that
Yeah.
just came out recently. Last pack was Blood Money.
Right, I think Sherlock was in 23 seconds.
Right, but we are up to Blood Money at this point, so Temujin contract is alive and well.
Yeah.
We've started on the right, and
Oh, speaking of blood money.
what an opening.
So, yeah.
Astrolabe into Beth Kilrain Chang is going to be all the clickless card draw that you'll need.
That's right. That's
And
a lot of card draw.
This on the right is Montreal's Julien Deville. He is going to need the card draw a lot because he's playing a particularly interesting deck,
Right.
which is this. I believe he's Kate. Where's his ID at?
It's in the bottom
there
right
in the
corner.
There she is. This is a Kate one-turn kill.
That's right. He's trying to accumulate enough clicks in one turn to
Yes.
just like go through a massive keyhole run, many
Yes.
massive keyhole runs, and then just destroy his opponent.
So I believe the maximum amount of clicks he can get in his deck is like 14?
Yeah, I think it's 14.
14.
I've seen him get up to 14.
14 in one turn, and then you keyhole a lot, and then you turning wheel a lot, and you can hopefully get at least 7 points in one turn.
Yep.
His deck relies on the Corp not resing ice because he uses the False Echo DDoS combo,
Yeah, that's a brutal combo.
which is a combo that lets you bounce unresed ice and
Yep.
not able to res.
And DDoS makes all
Ice.
ice you encounter not able to be rezzed. I mean,
Outermost ice.
Outermost ice. But
Yes.
you keep making new outermost ice.
And so it goes on and on and on. Now, Steven is aware of what's going on here. I
Right,
think
he must be.
He's seen these sort of archetypes. Any sort of deck that opens with this, not a lot of programs, putting Fansite, Artist Colony, you can assume it is a combo deck. So Steven is going to understand that he doesn't need to ice all his centrals so much. He can play a Naked Eve, and it's going to be fine. It's going to take down probably to completion.
Yeah, that's probably.
And Steven has some tools to counter this deck. His outs are Accelerated Beta Test.
Accelerated Beta Test is great because it gets you rezzed ice easy.
Yes. Yeah. So he has to fire, I think, all the ABTs, the Accelerated Beta Tests,
For
just
sure.
to get the ice up on R&D. Because with rezzed ice on R&D, I'm not actually sure what Julien can do about it. I know he does have breakers, maybe a Faust, definitely an
Yeah,
admin.
he must have some sort of AI breaker.
Yeah, but still, if you want to do 13 clicks on R&D, you're not going to have that kind of money.
Yeah, you can't
do
You
that.
can't abide a single res piece of ice on R&D.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely problematic. Steven there also can rely on fast advance.
Yeah, that's right.
Shaper classically is good at beating fast advance by pulling out clots out of nowhere.
Clots from Archive or clot from deck with Artist Colony
Yeah.
and Fansite.
As self-modifying code can do it
Self-modifying
too.
code, of course.
But you'll notice there in Julian's hand, he has his thumb there on the newish Rumor Mill card.
Oh yeah, the card that blanks any unique asset or upgrade, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Which is a really strong card during the one-turn kill combo.
Yeah, because you can't have them having any caprices out.
Yes.
That could ruin your whole day.
No defensive upgrades on R&D to prevent the super dig, and also importantly, no Jackson Howard.
Right.
So you can't shuffle back in those agendas that you might have keyholed out of the deck.
Sure.
If that's the way that you want to keyhole. Now, that card does cost 2 influence, which, if I'm correct, that is actually Julien's clot slot. So he's unslotted the clot to put in this card, and I don't think Steven knows it. So he's
Right.
going to have to play the fast. If he wants to play the fast advance game, he's going to have to respect the possible clot, and that's going to be playing with CVS Cyberdex Fire Suite.
Probably.
And that's going to make things a bit more complicated. That's one more extra card in that he's going to require for that combo.
Yeah, it dilutes his perfect deck a little bit.
Yes.
Just to make sure the clot doesn't fire. The clot doesn't stop him.
Yeah. So looking at the board states right now, Julien is basically, all he needs to do is he needs to set up. And he has enough clone chips, I think, for the entire game, probably. He has all his tutors, and he got, well, not his tutors exactly, but the fan site.
The fan site is so powerful in this kind of combo deck.
Yeah, and you want to get
Just
the
get that-
fan site out as soon as possible.
Oh, for sure.
Because you need to get 1 or 2 of those out before the corp starts scoring. Because once the corp is on 4 points, they can usually fast advance the last 3 points from hand sometimes.
Easily, sure.
And those will be dead cards, so you need those on the table ASAP.
Yeah. And those can be to get a hyperdriver on the corpse turn so it can fire on your turn. It's so useful in this kind of combo deck.
It lets you pull anything, and specifically it lets you pull the kind of cards that were impossible to tutor previously in Netrunner.
That's right.
So
Hardware, resources.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a really big deal. Now you see, Steven is having what we can assume is a breaker bait grid into an Adonis or an Eve, just in a naked remote.
Yeah.
Because Julien's not going to contest it. Not only does he not have the money, I don't think he cares how much money Steven has.
And with Beth, you're really okay with the corp having lots of money. It gives you that one extra click.
Beth is super cool because corps now have to decide whether they're going to play under 15 credits on purpose.
Right.
Which I think is really difficult to do and might not be worth it.
No, it rarely is.
It's pretty hard to play around. 2 Eves are taking down, only 1 on each server. I think Steven is playing this totally correctly.
Yeah.
There has so far been no threat of breaker. So he can,
That's right.
He can put another piece of ice maybe on that server to protect from a DDoS. And then just start scoring in that remote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ice like Turing is good if Julien is going to depend on an AI breaker to be his only breaker. So Turing is a pretty good server.
Yeah, the Turing is a very likely server too.
Yeah. So something is going to go in that remote.
Right.
We can assume that's an agenda based on the fact that he killed an Eve for it with a lot of money.
Yeah. You wouldn't necessarily bait, although in this kind of deck that's relying on a set number of resources, maybe you would.
Yeah, maybe you would. And it's really hard. This could just be him testing the water.
Yeah.
That could be a free ABT too. There just could be a beta test standing in there, and Julien has to know, and that's where the skill cap I've always found with these combo decks is that, yeah, sure, you can play completely uninteractively and just build your combo and then fire it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But that generally isn't the best strategy. You do
No,
want
you need to be able to identify the times when you can take a little break from building your rig and just go for it.
You need to be able to poke. You need to be able to force the corporation so they don't think that they're perfectly safe.
Yeah, put pressure on them.
Yeah, and they have to at least play around you.
Yep.
And this might be the first opportunity in the game where we can see how aggressive Julien's going to be.
Sure.
Remember, he does have 5 clicks a turn, which is really good. We know it's good because Julien's deck is running. Steven's deck is running a lot of Byroids.
A lot of Byroids, yeah.
And that helps you click through it.
It even lets you hit a turn, get through it, and then have one more click to do something with it.
Yeah, it's very useful. You can even install a breaker and then run on a turn.
Sure. Oh, Councilman is a good include here. Another good anti-Caprice, anti-Jackson card.
Yeah. There's no surprise, though, now for the Councilman. So if you do want to res something, you have to res it on your turn and then maybe again on the runner's turn if they choose to
but the
use
lack
it.
of surprise goes both ways.
Yeah.
It means that Julien will be surprised by anything because Steven has to res it ahead of time.
And I think having to res it ahead of time is totally a big deal considering he is running Rumor Mill.
For sure.
So now you pay 4 credits to double res a Caprice, and now you know where it is, and at any point in time you can play Rumor Mill and shut it down, which is super valuable. So there was no poke on that server. If that's an agenda that could go, there's a chance that is something like an Ash.
Yeah,
Just something hanging out there.
Just testing the waters, seeing
Yeah.
if Julien would poke that.
So maybe that's actually like a really bad face check. that he wants him to run into.
Yep.
Something that will waste time and credits could be a Fairchild.
Fairchild, that's so rough.
Yeah, Fairchild 3.0 is out at the point of the recording of this piece. At the point of this game, it was only 2.0, which itself, if you weren't running Yogg, is a nightmare and a half.
We didn't see 3.0 coming.
Oh man, what a card!
It's kind of good, isn't it?
It's a bit really really good.
Yeah.
But let's not digress too far into the future. Steven's thinking real hard right now.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. He understands how fast he has to go for this matchup.
Right. He sees a lot of the pieces are already in play.
Yeah.
And he can only imagine what is in Julien's hand from all his drawing.
This is going to be a single install and advance. So there was an agenda in there.
Yeah.
And that's an Ash.
And pre-res the Ash.
You got to pre-res the Ash, yeah. Looks like Julien's not going to opt to use that Councilman. The good thing about Ash is that if Julien can get into that server twice in one turn, the Ash basically does nothing but adds a 3-credit tax, and of course you have to run again.
Yeah.
And can we see in his hand? Yeah, he does have a breaker. He has an admin.
Oh, interesting.
So in theory, you can run, install admin, run.
Yeah. So
if you have enough money.
Yeah, potentially, but that would really set his setup back.
Yeah.
Can we assume he's not running Faust because he's running Atman?
I think that might be a safe bet. He does have a lot of card draw, so Faust does seem good. Again, maybe Faust went into that area where now he has that rumor mill.
Yeah. Ooh, magnet. Okay.
So we have a magnet, which means that if we put down that admin, you pay 2 credits to install it with the Kate refund, and then you have to boost it to 3.
And
so
then
you're
1
spending
to break
5,
it.
and then 2 to break is 7, and then 3 to trash the Ash. You can do it.
Yep.
He has exactly enough money to do that. We're going to peel out with that shiny new sports card to draw some cards. Whether you want to spend 10 credits just to steal what might actually only be a 2-pointer?
Right.
I would assume that's a 2-pointer just based on how much Steven stalled.
Yeah.
To score it.
That's fair.
Because there's a chance that it's something like accelerated beta test, and he's waiting or has in hand a Jackson Howard.
Sure.
So that he can fire it, and then Jackson or Archive Memory is a card back.
Mm-hmm.
Just so he doesn't lose more agendas if he ABTs improperly, or not improperly, unluckily, as it goes.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that, but we're still slow building here.
Yeah, getting those leprechauns so we can have something to install the hyperdrivers on.
Yeah.
And the self-modifying codes, as it were.
He has a lot of programs that are 2 or 3 MU, and there's no way to get those feasibly all out without Leprechaun.
Yeah.
I talked to Julien, and he said that he requires around 30 credits throughout the game to get his deck running.
Okay, so he's counting it. He knows exactly what he needs.
He
what's
knows how to
interesting?
build.
He's putting all this on the leprechauns. Do you
Yeah.
think maybe he should have spread it out?
I think it's definitely better to spread it out.
Yeah.
The reason not to spread it out, the only argument is that maybe he has to install something that trashes the other leprechaun, but that doesn't seem reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because he could have face-checked something pretty bad right there.
Oh, okay,
But,
so that
hey,
was an ABT, an accelerated beta test.
Not even thinking about it, you're definitely going to fire there.
Yeah, you have to.
If you get 1 piece of ice, you're good, but
but
nothing.
that's a whiff. I'm so sorry.
Full whiff, we get a fan site up.
Yeah.
And that's a really big deal. Because if you get 1 res piece of ice in R&D, the game is totally different.
Yeah, for sure.
Incredibly
You feel so
different.
much safer. You know the combo is going to have a really hard time dealing with that, but in this case, it did not work. It's still 2 points.
It's definitely 2 points. Ideally, I think you can score another 2 point in the server, and then probably, or even score a food as soon as possible, and then fast advance the last.
Yep.
He still does not know or is unsure about the existence of Clot, and hasn't been able to test it or hasn't cared to test it yet.
Yeah. He's still got 2 clicks left this turn, I think. So.
Yeah, definitely he does. So a Jackson or Archived could pull things at Archives. Even you might want to ice Archives. I don't know how necessary that is. I don't think icing Archives helps during the keyhole turn.
Right.
Because if you do just heavily ice Archives, you just keyhole non-agendas, and then you swoop them off.
Because you have access to R&D.
Yeah, and then you can turning wheel all of R&D in theory.
Yeah, that's the plan. I like that plan.
So, protecting Archives isn't ideal against a lot of other keyhole decks that maybe rely on Eater. It does seem a lot better.
Okay, so his archive memories something.
Face down card. We can assume that's either something that he really wanted, like a biotic, that's important to the matchup, or more likely an agenda.
Sure. Okay, double icing R&D, just a little bit of more protection.
So we're many turns deep and only one agenda is being scored. Again, you have to assume that there are agendas hanging out in HQ.
Probably. Yeah.
That is arguably the best place for agendas to be in a keyhole deck.
Yeah, you're not thinking they're going to run much on HQ.
No, generally not. One ice is usually enough. If they want to run it now, they could face check something really bad.
Sure.
I don't think Brainstorm is going to be seen in this deck, but you could find that brutal Sherlock too.
Yeah, Sherlock 2 would be rough against a Leprechaun that's hosting 2 important pieces.
Yeah, and those cards get trashed, by the way.
Yeah.
If you have something that's hosting something and that is either returned to hand or trashed, all the things on it do return to sender.
Yeah.
Remember, we are playing Kate here on Julien's side, so he does want to install one piece of hardware or program per turn.
Right. Get that 1 credit discount.
That's a big discount. 1 credit per turn for free is an amazing ability.
And combo decks like this, they might go long a bit. So that could be, 10 to 15 credits?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Install on that server. Could be that agenda that he swooped out of archives, if that's what we're assuming that's what it was.
Yep.
Remember, there is now an ice res on that server, so he can't just DDoS in. If he wants to deal with that server, he needs to be able to break that.
Yeah, but does he want to spend his Atman on the magnet?
I don't
or
know.
Save the Atman for maybe R&D?
The thing is, like, if ice is res on R&D, I'm not convinced the admin's going to do it.
Sure.
Just because if he wants to run 10 times on R&D, he's no way going to have money to break things like
right.
Eli.
It's still going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like 20 credits just for Eli runs. Don't see it to be possible. So I don't know what the admin for. I think the admin is mostly for preventing rushing.
Sure.
But I don't think he's going to put it down. Well, he's having a nice think here. Remember, he also does have a fan site. So at any point in time, he can pull out things like a DDoS.
Yeah.
Which is good because that could give you HQ accesses, but I don't know how heavily that disrupts his combo. I think he does run 2 DDoS, so maybe one of them is disposable.
Sure. The fan site Ars Colony combo is kind of an additional click in this combo-based deck.
Very much so.
We're talking maybe he can get up to 14 clicks, but...
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
He can take a 1-click discount if he needs.
Yeah, it's also something that lets you utilize Kate's ability on the runner's turn, or the corpse turn. Sorry.
Exactly.
Which is very good. You want to squeeze out as much money as you can in these money-efficient IDs. There he does. He has a first false echo in hand. I don't think there's any surprises when that hits the table. I think Steven knows what's afoot at this point.
Right, yeah.
So it's not like you really need to hold off on that. I think you might want to install that just to save, get the credit back, and there you go.
Yeah, might as well.
So False Echo, that is the card bouncer that before DDoS seemed incredibly niche, but after DDoS came out, that card became a powerhouse.
Incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Absurdly so.
I never saw that card played before DDoS.
No,
for sure.
It didn't seem very good. And that's the exact kind of card support you need for it. 1 card there in the remote. Steven's thinking at this point. That easily could be a 3-2.
Yep, it could be another XR beta test.
Could just be the Vitruviuses that are in there.
Right. Maybe it would be good to over-advance some Vitruviuses, just for some archive safety.
Maybe. It might be.
All right.
It looks like we're advancing that 3 times.
Okay.
That is another accelerated beta test.
Okay.
No doubt we're firing
He's going to have to fire it.
We get 3 cards off the top. I think I saw an Architect there on the top.
Yeah, it's an Architect.
And 1 for 3 doesn't seem very good, but you need ice on R&D, so that's definitely a victory.
That's the best possible ice you could have chosen.
You're totally right.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's almost exactly what he needed.
If you don't break that ice, it absolutely wrecks the combo of Keyhole.
Yep, for sure.
Considering if that fires, you are returning the cards that Keyhole back. You can make the server and R&D so much stronger, and then undo the shenanigans done by DDoS False Echo.
Yep, easily.
So that's something he's gonna have to deal with. Paying 2 credits for Atman each time isn't the way. I don't know what he's gonna do. This is a big deal.
Yeah, this is really rough. So now the corp is ahead by 4.
Yeah.
And Steven's got R&D pretty well protected, actually.
Yeah, R&D is protected. Steven is feeling good about himself.
Yeah.
Julien is still drawing, floating around the 5 to 6 credit mark. So we've seen in hand, he has 2 DDoS. He just drew his Keyhole. So we gotta go through. What does he need for the combo? He needs, for sure, DDoS.
Yep, he needs the Keyhole out.
Well, he needs a way to deal with Architect, but let's say Architect is not there. If Architect is not there, he needs DDoS.
Sure.
Turning Wheel, I think, is necessary.
Yeah, Turning Wheel will really make it work.
Checking out a DDoS, I think that makes Steven aware that he has the second one in hand.
Yes.
He's not running any sort of damage or targeted damage.
You're not going to need more than 1 DDoS in this deck.
You're unlikely going to need it. Well, that's actually interesting because I've seen some of these decks give up on their win condition that is off of R&D.
Yeah.
And then basically have to use all their DDoS just to contest the scoring remote.
Oh, really?
Which is interesting. Like, this deck can pivot. I don't think it's running a levy.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have to hard pivot, Julien's going to do it now. This makes me think he has a way to deal with Architect.
Yeah. The way he's playing? The way he's drawing up? Like, maybe he has this card that can do it?
Because otherwise his plan is basically put down Atman at 3 to deal with Magnet and then just DDoS False Echo the scoring remote for the rest of the game. Which is not that bad.
Right. It could be worse.
It's not a one-turn kill, but it's like it's a reasonable way to be annoying.
Yeah.
And steal agendas, which is ultimately the goal. At 4 points, what does it take? It takes 3 biotic labors to score food?
Yeah, that's right.
Not undoable.
Right. It's been done.
I don't know if Steven's running. How big his ice is makes me think that Steven is on the 1 or 2 biotic plan. Probably 2 biotic plan.
You think so?
I don't think a deck with this much or this big ice that requires this much money for ice.
Oh, of course. Biotic is an expensive card.
Not only that, but he has defensive upgrades and good ice.
Yeah.
It makes me think that plugging things into remote might be more of his game plan.
Right.
I think Biotic is still good. It lets you close games that don't look good in other ways. It lets you rush. It gives you a better criminal matchup, which I think all useful things in the meta at this point. But I think he's going to have to maybe Biotic 2 agendas or score in a remote.
Yeah. So he's double-checking what's in the heap.
Yeah.
He needs to know what's been gone, what he can assume Julien has in his hand.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the biggest point. Assume what he has in his hand, because the clone chips right now can't pull back much. Julien also threw out a clone chip.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would have kept one more clone chip just for safety.
Yeah, I think he's played this a lot, obviously, that he knows how far he has to go.
Sure.
But with only 2 clone chips, you know that there's a certain amount of ice you can strap onto R&D that becomes undedosable.
Yeah.
Or unfalse echo dedosable. There needs to be a cute name for that combo. False DOS? Oh, that's bad. I'm not going to try and
You know what? Don't put pressure on me right now. I can't do it.
That's okay. But we're at like a really interesting standoff.
Yeah. So the way the false echo combo with DDoS will work is he'll false echo most of the ice. He'll leave one behind because he doesn't have to false echo that last one. It's still going to be DDoSed.
We have another ice on the remote and a card in that server.
Okay.
We can assume that's an agenda. There's no other piece of cardboard that he needs in that server.
Right. He got protection.
He doesn't need money. He has enough protection. So if Julien wants to get into that server, he has to use the only DDoS that he has left, which is in his hand. And I don't think he's going to do that.
He's using Artist Colony to fetch something.
Yeah, he's Artist Calling fan setting. I'm going to assume it's on the corpse turn.
Yep.
So that's a hyperdriver.
Yep.
You get that installed for free with the Kate refund.
Oh boy.
And we now have the capability of doing the 14 click turn.
Yeah, is this the turn?
And that's what you have to think, because if he has double biotic, he can win next turn. If that's a food in that server and Steven has biotic, advance 5 times.
He only needs to get those 2 extra clicks in order to win.
That's a GG and a handshake.
Yeah.
Which is not unreasonable, considering he's drawn a lot of cards.
Yeah, and having 2 biotics is probably fair for this kind of deck.
Yeah. So I think Julien really needs to think hard on what he's going to do here. Looking at his hand right now, he doesn't have a way to deal with Architect. So he might be considering on like going all in on this remote.
Yeah.
But then he loses all his other one-turn kill strategies. I don't know what you do. You can also, like, that's again what the skill cap of this deck is. You can pop 1 hyperdriver to get maybe 8 clicks a turn, which is all you need to maybe just click for credits to install an admin and go.
It doesn't feel good, but sometimes that's the only choice you have.
And especially if that server is something like a Turing into a magnet. Like, you don't have to use your DDoS. Oh, wow. You could even click through a Turing twice.
Oh, that's right. Oh. And hyperdriver did come out the pack after Turing, I think.
Sometime around that. Yeah, that was the whole Haley, like that's the Haley point in time, right? That's
well, Haley came out alongside Turing.
Yeah, right. Breaker Bay time.
Yeah.
Oh, we're checking there in the archives to see what came out there. Not a lot, but there are some face down cards.
Right.
We're not going to be able to see what those are, but that's also really good information. Maybe you run archives. You might even find an agenda, but if you see things like biotic labor, that changes your game plan significantly. Information is so key in this game.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what people keep telling me.
It's game of info.
Yeah.
So Julien's going to have a big think here.
Boy.
I'm not convinced that he can combo off of R&D at this point in time.
No, I've got no idea how he's going to get into R&D reliably.
He can do it a couple times. He only has 12 credits, so actually I don't think he can keyhole in. The thing for keyhole also is, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to trash. Like, he can install a keyhole without trashing a hyperdriver. I don't know whether that does anything for him.
I don't think you mean it just installed the keyhole in his regular rig.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he still has 2
of
MU left. But it looks like we're trashing an SMC. No, we're not.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine. You can think about this. This is really tense. By the way, these two are playing on stream as well.
Oh, right.
That's also totally worth mentioning. I don't know how many people were watching the stream. It was run by VTTV, I believe is what it's called.
Yep.
Who are streaming this, so there is extra pressure, and I always think players do play differently when they're on stream. Some play better, some play a bit more uneasy.
Right. They might be a bit shaky.
Yeah, so it looks like we're not going for the combo this turn.
Okay, so he's installed the keyhole. He's just drawing cards.
He is definitely looking for something that he doesn't have.
Yeah, but I don't know what that could be.
I think that is his answer to Architect. DDoS there on the table. I think you just want to get that out of hand. So
he's telegraphing that probably next turn is the turn.
Yes, because if this is an agenda, he does have one more turn to win because you can easily biotic out anything from hand.
For sure.
I think if I was Steven, I don't know how safe that Architect is. You might want to strap on 1 or 2 more ices onto R&D.
Yeah.
Even if you can't afford to res them, just the fact that they're there messes up the combo.
Right.
And I know his deck is running ice.
Yes. Julien did throw up 1 clone chip, so he... Oh, all right. So that's a project for Vitruvius.
Okay.
6 points. Here we go.
That's a huge relief for Julien. He knows that he has at least 1 more turn, because this turn is the easy biotic labor into Vitruvius or the other ABT.
Yep.
Excited
Very well
debate test.
This is the turn he has to do his 1-turn kill if he's going to do it at all.
Yes. Well, not exactly, because, still Steven could think that there's a clot going on. Like, Steven might still be convinced that his only way out is scoring in a server.
But you don't think he'd still try the biotic combo?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I've played against Julien more than Steven, just because he's from Montreal, so, like, I don't have a good read on how he would play or how aggressive he is.
That's fair, yeah.
On 6 points, I think it might be okay to lose a 2-pointer just to see if you can, like, cheekily win off of the biotic.
Yeah. Oh, so what we're seeing is Julien is not doing the combo this turn?
No, he's not. He's just digging. And there's only 2 cards left in his deck.
There's a turning wheel. Okay.
And clearly one of those 2 cards is something he needs because he's still drawing.
He knows it's one of those 2 cards, whatever it is.
Oh, all the way at the bottom.
Is that?
That's what he needs. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Is that Escher?
Yes. So that is an Escher, which is a card all the way back from Creation and Control.
Oh, man.
Doesn't see a lot of play. And this is the exact reason why you would need that card.
Yeah, and Steven has no idea this is coming, because no one has any idea this is coming.
No, you would never expect Escher.
No.
Only maybe out of, like, Kit.
Perhaps. That's incredible.
So we're doing a check here onto Archives to see if you can biotic out at this point. I don't think the biotic is safe. He's probably counting influence and hasn't seen...
right.
Holds influence isn't accounted for, so you can assume a clot. If you assume the clot is in hand, that is a problem.
Yeah,
like
because there's no way to get it out from in hand easily.
Yeah, there isn't. He doesn't have Faust. So, like, if you biotic now, it's actually pretty safe.
Well, there's 6 cards that the clot could be. It could be the 1 card left in the stack, in which case it's not safe.
Yeah, but, like, from hand, he has no way to getting it out, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be the 1 card in there.
Right.
Oh, no. That's good odds. I'd take it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So if he biotics out, he can biotic out now.
If he does.
We know for sure with that Escher, Julien is ready next turn. He's, like, just waiting on it. He's crouched and ready.
Yeah, he knows that, oh, boy, this is crazy. I haven't seen an Escher play in forever.
No, yeah, I really haven't.
And it's one of my favorite cards. It's so good.
It's a super interesting card. So if you don't see what's coming here, if Julien Escher's HQ, firstly, if Steven ices HQ, the game's going to get more interesting. But if Julien DDoSes an Escher's HQ, he can move that Architect off that server and have only unresed ice on R&D.
Absolutely.
And do the original False Echo DDoS combo that was expected.
Yep.
The best thing that's Steven can do right now is either score from hand, which he's either thinking or he can't do.
Yeah.
Or put a bunch of ice on HQ, which is not something he'd see coming.
No, that's not something that you would think to do. I mean, yeah, HQ might be flooded right now, but he doesn't want to, telegraphed that. He's thinking like HQ is not where the game is anyway.
Yeah.
For sure. He knows the combo is coming, but he thinks the architect is pretty safe. So what would he do?
We can see in Steven's hand, he's holding a corporate sales team, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw a bit earlier, there's still a food hanging out in there.
Okay.
So he needs double biotic to score the corporate sales team, which is not unreasonable. If he needs food, he needs 3, which is something I don't think his deck can do.
Right.
So the question is what to do with that corporate sales team. Do you install it? And if you have a biotic, do you bother advancing it? I don't know. Do you have something better to do? Well, that's definitely an install.
Yeah, that's something.
You gain credit for that for sure. This is engineering the future, after all. And we are advancing it. That is for sure an agenda.
Okay. So this is the turn.
Yes. And this is huge for Julien because he knows he's not going to be winning this turn. Another piece of ice on R&D. Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Seems like a thing you'd want to do against this sort of deck. And Julien now knows that now it's his turn to fire. Otherwise, he's for sure lost unless he can get into the remote as well or instead.
Okay. There are the 3 hyperdrivers. That's 9 extra clicks.
That is an insane amount of clicks.
And Beth is giving him 1 more.
So what are we at? 9 plus 4 plus 1? That's 14 clicks?
I believe that's 14.
That's incredible. That's a lot of clicks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm glad this type of archetype exists.
Yeah, I am glad too. I don't think, I think it's very easy for someone to look at this and deem this to be non-interactive Netrunner.
Yeah.
Which gets a bad rap, non-interactive Netrunner
But like we were saying, there is a lot of skill to this. Like, you do have to know when to pressure, when not to.
Like, you could see both players are playing around each other's decks in an interactive way as much as the cards themselves aren't interacting, obviously.
Yeah, the way I think of this is,
there we go.
Okay.
Oh, man. If we could just see Steven's face at this point in time.
Yeah. Of course, just rearrange it.
We're going to do some interior decorating.
It doesn't matter what ice goes there. It just has to be unresed. That's it.
That's an important thing. It is actually interesting where he puts that architect. The fact that he didn't put it on HQ means that he's probably going to run HQ, and he's given up on the remote.
Yeah, for
actually,
sure.
You know what? Those are both 3-strength ice.
Atman could make an appearance.
That's a good Atman server. But here we go. Click 2. That's a keyhole.
Bounce.
So False Echo bounces the outermost ice, which is unresable, which makes a new one, and it's turtles all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly tuned clone chips is just enough, and we are going to pull 3 cards off the top and get your trash time.
So this is the second click of his mega turn?
Yeah. Oh, he did goof. He should have another counter on the turning wheel from the Escher run.
That's a good point, yeah.
Let's see if that matters.
What makes turning wheel so powerful. Vamp and Escher and Account Siphon.
Even unsuccessful runs.
Right.
That'll give you counters. Earlier iterations of this deck, instead of turning real, they would spend a bit more influence and play medium.
Right.
Which is interesting because there are some good counters to medium that are popular, specifically Cyberdeck's Virus Suite.
Of course.
So the strategy I saw in a lot of those turns, firstly, hey, agenda out, that's a big deal. But the counters to medium were things like Cyberdeck's Virus Suite.
Yep.
So a lot of the times, the best strategy was actually to trash cards with medium that weren't agendas. You would trash the Cyberdeck's Virus Suite with Keyhole.
Trash with Keyhole,
Yeah. And then you would run one big run with on R&D and then access all the agendas that you
remove
left.
all the cards from R&D that are diluting it.
Yes.
Make it just full of agendas.
Yeah.
And then make your one access turn.
It looks like turning wheel, Julien is going for the opposite. He's actually going to trash agendas. That looks safe right now, considering that there obviously is no Jackson on the table. Considering
he knows that.
Yeah, the only face down card is advanced. That's a Vitruvius in there.
Okay, that was getting trashed too.
4 points. We've seen most of his accesses, and sometimes you get unlucky and you see 2 agendas in 1 keyhole.
Yeah.
We have been fortunate enough now that they have been spread out.
Is that so unlucky, though? I mean, he's shuffling the deck every time.
Yeah, well, it's just bad when you keyhole and you draw 3 agendas and you can only trash 1.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it just, you feel bad about it.
Yeah, okay. Emotionally, that isn't lucky.
It's a bit draining. Just a bunch of ice there. There's a single
one
biotic
labor. Okay.
Not sure that it matters so much right now, but it was a thing in the deck. You do have to count how many points there are of agendas in this deck. So there's 6 points out of the game,
That's a good
4
point.
points in archives, 2 points in that server, so that only is leaving, if I did my math correct, about 8.
Yeah.
We know there's a
8 or 9.
a food in HQ, so that's 3 more down, so there's only 5 points left, somewhere or other.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of agendas going on there in archives.
Right.
In R&D. Still shuffling out. We have like 6 clicks left.
I lost track. I'm just trusting.
No, yeah, he does his tokens there really well.
Oh, good, yeah.
We're just gonna keep digging here. I don't think there's much else to do. I think the only strategy he has at this point is either Keep 1 click for archives. Maybe keep 1 click for HQ. And you might want to consider keeping 2 clicks left for the remote.
But the thing is, False Echo has diluted HQ with ice.
Yeah, that is a problem with bouncing.
So even if he knows there's agendas in there.
He does have a massive turning wheel, though, so he can see most of HQ anyways.
Sure.
Which helps. But yeah, that is one of the downsides with False Echo. I actually think, there's no way that he can charge that remote, considering that he doesn't have enough money for Ash or running twice.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have a lot of credits. We're still going.
We're still going.
He's been getting really unlucky. Like, that's only 2 agendas out of multiple 3-card accesses.
Right.
Multiple 3-card accesses.
Yeah. Ideally, there would be 4 in there. Probably not going to get more than 3.
Every time he accesses, R&D is getting more and more thin.
At this point, he must be certain that most of the agendas are in HQ.
It does seem like a safe bet. It's been a while since he's seen an agenda. I think he only has 3 clicks left now, or something like that.
So 1 more keyhole, 1 archives, and then 1 HQ.
Yeah, that's the best that you have at this point.
Yeah, and if he doesn't get it there...
Things are looking dicey, I'll be honest. I don't know where the agendas are. He needs to find one here, and if he does, he's in a good spot. Looks like no dice.
Okay, so...
Just a Turing. He might have 1 more. I'm not sure whether that means he's keyholed or he's keyholing.
Okay.
Based off how he's clicking tracks or tracking clicks. Oh. You have to assume there's definitely agendas in HQ.
Yeah. At this point, I would assume that anything not in archives is in HQ, for sure.
A really cheeky include in this deck, which I don't think he has, is Freedom Through Equality.
Oh,
I'm not sure if he has it, but it does a lot in this matchup, considering it makes you need only 3 agendas instead of 4.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That works very well against a deck that's running a lot of global foods.
Yes, specifically this sort of HB agenda suite is really strong to it. We're running archives there. We have only 1 click left. I think we have to go HQ. Let's see what we got here. Only 4 points.
4 points. So he has to get 2 agendas out of HQ, and we're sure they're in there.
We know there's for sure a food in there.
And he's got a lot of turning wheel tokens.
Yeah, so can we count how many that is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think he's accessing 6 cards out of 8?
Yeah. Okay, here they go.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cards in hand just because of all the false echoes being bounced. This is what the game's going to come down to.
If he just misses 1 agenda.
Yeah, right. He's going to access most agendas, most cards, sorry. Yep. And you know that there's probably 2 agendas in there?
Yep.
He just has to whiff on 1. Oh, we're going full casino at this point. Turning into food, that's a good start.
Needs 1 more.
Just needs 1 more.
Oh, there it is.
And there you go.
Oh, wow. What a good game.
The 1 turn is out. That is the corporate sales team in there. I think those 4 agendas, those 4 cards on the table are not agendas.
Yeah.
I think he just pulled it off. So close.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they weren't. Oh, man.
And bringing Escher back into style.
Yeah,
I want to go to my next Netrunner night and see Eschers everywhere.
Oh, man. Very well played to both of them. Super close.
For sure.
If Steven did have double biotic, he could have closed the game out. That's all he needed was double biotic into corporate sales team.
We saw at least 1 biotic go into archives, though, so we didn't have it in hand.
I think he also might have lost 1 to the ABT, if I'm not mistaken.
Quite
we
possibly.
Might have to go back and look at that. But very well played to both players. Julien is going to go on into the upper bracket. Steven has a bit more fighting to do.
He still has a chance, though.
He totally still has a chance. I'm super excited for the rest of the series.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see it.
Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. We'll have the rest coming up real soon.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao.